Hello again from Word of Life Outfitters. So I wanted to do a quick demo video on the A-frame setup using the DD 3.5 by 3x5 tarp. I had a customer or two identify that they wanted to see how I set up a ridge line and how I toggled. So hopefully this next video will help you with that. So what I'm doing is I'm just setting out my line. I'm going to find two trees at least about 11 to 12 to 13 feet apart. I think these two trees were about 13 feet apart. So I'm slapping the line around the tree and I'm going to tie a bow line around so I can cinch down. I like that. It's real easy to untie and real easy to tie. Even when you put great pressure under it, it unties really easy. And I like the fact that the way I'm doing it here on a bite, it allows me to cinch down and move it pretty easily. So now we're going to tension it up, roll it to the side, tension again, and then run over to our other tree. Now, one thing that I do that's a little different than a lot of other folks is I try not to tie knots on my secondary tree. Now, what I'm doing there is a butterfly hitch, and I'm actually going to take a small toggle and put it in the knot so I can untie it easier later, because if you've used a butterfly hitch much, you realize that they will, under pressure, high pressure, tend to be hard to untie. So I take and put a little bit of a toggle in there to make it just a little easier. Now, I had to readjust here. I was a little too close to the other tree, and I knew when I tensioned the line that it would go against the tree. So now we've got our butterfly hitch in. We're going to run around the tree, then we're going to go back to the butterfly hitch. That's going to give me a mechanical advantage where I can really tension up that line. And I'm just going to pull enough to be able to get it around the tree and pull it back. So we're tensioning now, tensioning. And as you can see here, I don't take and tie true knots. I just run it around, and then tuck the tail in. That way, if it's rainy or cold, my fingers are not going to get cold, and then I don't have a knot to deal with. Check the tension. It sounds like a guitar. We're pretty much set. So now we're going to move to putting on some prusiks on the actual ridge line. I like using prusiks and a toggle on a ridge line because it allows me to tension on the fly easily and readjust easily. Now, you'll see a lot of people in fieldcraft, bushcraft, they only do a true prusik with 2 wraps. I go with 3 and then dress the knot good. It tends to bite on the line a little bit better. So what I'm doing now is dressing the knot, getting any over wraps taken care of. A pretty knot is a functional knot. Once I've got it set, I'm going to create a girth hitch and then run a toggle in it. And that's it. I'm ready. What's great about that is I can go left or right, and once I put tension on it, it'll stay. I'm going to go ahead and make up another toggle with a loop on the other end. Going to run around, run it under 1, 2, 3 times, pull tight, dress the knot. I have a little bit more trouble dressing this knot. So we got it tensioned. I'm going to tighten it up. I'm going to dress the knot. And then once I get it dressed, I'm going to do a girth hitch, put a toggle in, and then set it. So now I'm ready to string the tarp, and I like using this technique because it allows me to tension the tarp throughout the night. As the trees start to bend or the line starts to slacken up. I'm using a DD hammock tarp. Now I know it says a 3x3 on the bag, but it's actually a 3.5 by 3.5 I'm using in this video. So one reason I love the DD hammock tarps is they've got sewn in loops everywhere, so it allows for easy configuration, and it allows me to find midpoint, quarter point, and corners fast. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to find my midpoint, and I'm going to run that loop up, run my toggle through, set it, And I'm going to push my prusik out to the far edge, and I'm going to go over to the other side, find middle point, run it through the toggle loop on the other side, and see how easy it is to adjust and tighten with those prusiks. So now I'm going to tension it, and if I need to, I can tension throughout the night or loosen or readjust. As you can see, I wanted to move it over a little bit, and it made it really, really easy using the toggles and the prusiks. I'm going to dress it, make sure it holds good, grips good. A dress knot is a functional knot. And the one thing that I do that I don't see a lot of other folks do is I'll go ahead and run 2 toggles on the inside loops as well, just so we don't have any sag midline on the tarp. I like having that. I found in certain environments, if you've got a little bit of sag or droop in the middle, it tends not to drain on the sides the way you want it to. It drains in the middle, and I try to get mine to drain evenly across. That way I don't have puddles forming on me if I'm ground camping and such. So we've set a toggle, and we're going to tension, and there we go. Grab another toggle, and I'm going to go over. Now on this one, on the ridgeline center of the tarp, you have 5 attachment points. I'm going to use 4 of the attachment points. Is it a little overkill? Yeah. I can get away with just using a prusik and a toggle on the outside edges, and that's it. But I like to overbuild. That's just something I like doing. So we're going to tension that up, get it toggled and tensioned, and we're done. So now we're ready to set our stakes. So I'm going to reach over, grab some stakes, and I start out with some really old river cane stakes, and the ground's extremely dry and hard right now, so I'm probably not going to get these to work. I'll have to switch to the hardwood stakes that I made. Now the DD hammock tarps come with stakes, but they're steel and they're not shepherd hooks, so they tend to spin on the tarp. So I usually toss those and go to a wooden stake or grab a what they call a tri-stake, something like an MSR or a Kelty tri-stake. They tend to work a little bit better, but I'm trying to cut weight, so I just carve my stakes in the field before I actually put everything up, and that way I don't have to carry the extra stakes. I'm set in the center, I'm going to hammer it in. As you can see, we're going to have a little bit of a failure with that river cane, so I'm going to have to go ahead and get rid of that and go to a harder stake. And I had an absolutely gorgeous day for filming. Now one thing I noticed is I didn't have it adjusted down low enough to where I could get that good A-frame cant that I wanted. If you notice, all I had to do is loosen one end, come over to the other end, move it down, retighten, go back over to the other side, use that fulcrum or that mechanical advantage I have going on using the butterfly, retension after I've lowered it down, and it's a quick adjustment. Then I'm going to tighten everything up. And I'm just going to wrap around, pull tight, and set. And that's one thing I like about the setup that I use is it's easy to readjust if I don't have my height right the first time. And just real quick, and if you saw, I took that down really quick. So once I get this line tied or set, I'm going to go back, readjust, grab some better stakes, and then come back and finish up the A-frame setup. Now while I was trying to film today, the yellow jackets were really giving me a hard time. It's like everywhere I went, they were following me around, and I don't remember eating anything sweet to draw them in. But they followed me around everywhere today, and pretty much harassed me. Trying to get that last little bit of food before they go in for the winter, I guess. So we set the center stake, then we're going to go out and set the side stakes. And I love those loops. They just make it so easy. And if you notice, I did a double wrap through the loop. That way it will not slide off the end, it'll grip. And we're going to drive that one in. So we're going to work our way around the tarp, setting all our anchor points. And we'll have a nice little A-frame setup. Now this is just going to be a demo video. I'm going to set it up and then I'm just going to take it down. Just kind of show you one of the many 108 setups that I'm aware of for the DD Hammock tarp. And I mean, it's just amazing what all you can do. And of course the dogs come over and want me to play ball the whole time I'm trying to work. I call her my high maintenance doggy. You know, Belgian Malinois, they want to work non-stop all the time. So I've set my first 2 stakes and I'm going to go to my other. Now, if I wanted to do a winter setup, I could actually tuck in those ends and just use 1 stake and completely close it off and have almost a tent-like structure. Gonna hammer those in. And that ground was hard. There's everything I could do to get a stake in it. Now that's one advantage to having a thin metal stake is they're going to penetrate the ground a little better, but I like the wood because when I'm done I can yank them and leave them, or I can just take the tarp off and continue to drive them the rest of the way in the ground so they're not a trip hazard. So we'll stake out the other side. I've got to say it was absolutely beautiful fall day today. I love this season. It's not too hot, too cold, you're able to set up, and it's just comfortable. Now if you notice there, when I flip that corner over, you see reinforcements on all the DD tarps on the corners, and that makes for a great durability feature on those tarps. And the particular tarp I'm using right here is what they call the multicam, and it's the British style multicam because these things come out of Britain or Scotland if we want to be more correct. So we're going to set out the other side, set a stake, hammer it in, and then we're going to be pretty much done with this shelter as far as setup goes. It's enough to get me out of the rain, get me moderately out of the wind, and give me some coverage and some good airflow if it was to get hot later in the afternoon. Got that done and it's set up. There it is. If I need attention, I can pull. We can look underneath there. There's enough room for 3 if you like each other, 2 if you don't, or 1 if you really want to be alone. Plenty of room under that setup. I'm going to gather up what remaining items I have, and now we're going to go into the breakdown. So now I'm just going to do reverse order and break down the setup that I have going on here. Pull stakes. Now one thing I like to do is take the stakes, stack them all together, even if I'm not going to come back to that campsite. So maybe if the next person decides to use it, if they need some stakes, they're available and they don't have to recarve them. Takedown's extremely easy the way I've set it up here. Now we're just going to pull the toggles and boom. Then we're going to pull the loops, and that's a really quick takedown. Toggle and tarp is down. Now you'll see when I take the ridgeline loose, because I didn't tie a knot, it's going to be extremely fast to take down. Pull, 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 boom, and it's done. I'm going to take the toggle out of the butterfly hitch once I pull the line through, and that's going to help me take that butterfly hitch out of the line quicker. Go over to the other side, undo the bow line, quick takedown, and that's nice if you're needing to break down camp quick and get out. I'm gonna put up my stakes, head back over, And we're going to wind up the cord. Now the technique I'm using here, I learned back when I helped with surveying. It was good for rolling tape, but it tends not to cause the line to get tangled when you wrap it in this figure 8 configuration. It allows you to throw the line without getting a whole lot of tangled up mess. And it packs up nicely. Now the line I was using is the actual throw line. It was a 2mm throw line, which is a static line, which was virtually no stretch. The only stretch you saw when I stretched the ridgeline out was the tree actually bending over. And we've about got that wrapped up. Gonna overwrap, pull the tail through, and that's set. Kick it over to the side. We're ready to move on to the next task here in just a second or two. Now we'll pick up the tarp. Here's another reason why I like the DD hammock tarps. Because of the way they set up the attachment points and the guy-out points, it allows me to find center line every time I fold it fast. It allows for a quick fold up and put away. Boom, bring it over, roll it up, throw it in the bag, and we are almost done with this setup. Hope you guys enjoyed this setup. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Mainly when I do my videos, it's for your entertainment. Maybe you get something out of it, maybe you don't. Hope you do enjoy. If you learned something, great. If you didn't, hopefully you relaxed a little bit and got to watch me sweat a little bit. Not much, because it's really easy to put these hammock tarps up. Finish up, it's done, close the bag down, and we are done. Put up, take down, the whole shebang in just a few minutes. And there it is, set up. That's in an A-frame configuration. That's going to be my bowline knot there on a bank. That's going to be my toggles there with a prusik, a triple wrap prusik. That's going to be my butterfly hitch used as a mechanical advantage. Once again, the butterfly hitch with toggles, or not the prusik hook hitch with toggles. And there's the A-frame setup. Nice airy summer configuration.